No, it's not. But by the end, I think you're going to be pretty good. I just want to give you a blast from the past, right? On Friday, we talked about why am I getting you to go through these steps, right? And the reason is that for a full cycle, for you to perform a regression, we need 5 points. And we use the symmetry of the sine wave. Almost looks like a parabola, right, to a certain degree. But anyways, it just repeats itself. So a period goes from high to high, or it goes from a low point to a low point, right? The distance, it could be time, it could be actually distance. We will look at various scenarios down the road. That's one full period. So what we do is we take the period, we split it into 4, and that will tell us how much of an x difference is there from one to the other. If we jump from max, mid, min, back to mid, back to max, right? There's an equal amount of horizontal distance between the points, and there's always an equal amount of vertical distance between the points, right? So that is a pattern I wanted you to consider, right? So when I gave you the steps, which should be on your study sheet, right? Why are we doing the x scale like that? Why am I asking you to find the period, then dividing it, then 4? Because we kind of figure out the horizontal chunks. The max, mid, and min, you find out the vertical chunks, and then we combine them, right? So that's what's happening here. And once you're done that, you need to find a max or a min. I prefer the first positive x value, okay? So let's jump back into the AC here, and let's get the first couple of marks out of the way here. So the y max and the y min, the maximums and minimums, would be as follows. So you take d and you would add the amplitude, right? D plus a to get the max, d minus the amplitude to get the min. So I give you 1 mark for that, half for each. And then you get a full mark for figuring out the period. So it's either 0.044 if you rounded it to 2 decimals. That's what you would get. Okay. And then, so 2 marks there for that one. Then for question 2, I will tell you this, unfortunately, I will not be giving you marks for the pre-work, but it's a prerequisite to graph, right? Like it's kind of like you need to do it to graph, unless you're, right, unless you're able to do it all in your head, which would be amazing. Come and see me if you can. I want to learn from you. So what I figure out the period, I divide it, what did I do there? I divide it by 4, I get 6, sorry. Is it Monday? There you go. So I figure out that my x scale will go up by 6, right? And then the y max, y min, y mid, I basically do the same thing as I did up here, right? The median, this is your middle, that's the middle line, right? I'm going to add the amplitude to get the max. I'm going to subtract the amplitude to get my min. So you get those 2 values, and there's my mid. And the decimals look scary, but not really, right? Especially with the y, it's easy to just graph it once, and then you know where it is. And I figured out my period was 24. That is important to have on there because it's going to help you with your window settings, okay? And the x scale is 6. So now I'm ready to graph. Oh, and I found my first maximum, right? I graphed it, and I found that one right there, and that was 19.24, which is what we expected, right? You could have started with a min. If you like to start with min, go for it, right? Like it doesn't matter. I tend to start with the max. You can even start in the negatives. Like you can start here if you want, but I don't. Because you kind of just need a snapshot of the sine wave, and that's the graph, right? Like it's just the way it is. And so I will say, because it seems like I'm going like up by 20, down 20-ish, I'm just going to kind of, these lines did not come out very well, but it does help. And I'm just going to have it right smack down in the middle there. And I noticed as I was walking through, some of you missed this piece right here. that I wanted 2 full cycles, which means max, max, and another max, like 3 maxes, right? Today we're gonna let it go, right? If you didn't do that, like I'm actually, if you can do 1, you can do as many as I ask you, right? Like it's as simple as that. So I go with my X and the Y. So labeling and the equation will also be under that label. I will do that later. So I'm gonna say, let's see here, I have lots of room, so I'm gonna make this 5, 10, 15, 20. So I can expand. Like if you don't mind, do that. But some of you kept it shorter, smaller, fine. No, not a big deal as long as you're consistent. So it'd be 20. So it'd be -5, -10, -15, and -20 here, right? And my X scale, I'm thinking this way. I start at 9. 1 full cycle would be 24, another one would be another 24. So technically 24 and 24 is 48. I'm going to bump it to 50 to be fair, right? To be have enough room. So 50 plus 9, that's 59. So I should probably go all the way up to like 60 or 80 or something like that. So let's see here. 20, that's too small of a scale. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And I have lots of space still, right? So I can go probably 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, right? And this would be 65 right here. So that technically should do it for me. So again, if you didn't do that, that's fine, as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to plot the first point, 9 at the high point, and I'm going to go 19, 24 would be right about there. Okay, so you make that dashed line. I encourage you to do that because it helps you to realize where you're dumping, right? That's your highest point, and the lowest is -21 or something, so you just go below the 20 here. That's your min, and your mid is -1 point, so it's right there, somewhere in there. That's fine. So you're gonna kind of, if you have a different color, if that helps you, go for it, right? But that's my mid. So 9 would be right about there, right? That would be my first max that I found using my calculator. And I'm gonna label it because it doesn't hurt, okay? So then if you add, how much do I need to add every time? I need to add 6, right? See that? So when I jump to my mid, I'm gonna add 6 to that, which is 15. So that would be right here, right there, 15. I add another 6, that's 21, right? Another 6, that's 27. Another 6, that's 33. So 33 would be right about there. So that's 1, right? And then keep going. So I'll just label that 33, 19, 24. Why am I doing that? Okay. You have to ask yourself, did 24 units go from here to here? And yes, right? 9 plus 24 would give you 33. So that's a bit of a check if you're doing things right. I'm going to keep adding 6. So 39, adding 6, that's 45. Adding 6, that's 51. Adding another 6, that's 57. Right? And again, I'm not going to split hair. If you're off by 1 or something, like it's okay, but it should be in the neighborhood, right? So then you start graphing your wave. And there you go. And then you put the equation in there. Oh, that's okay. We'll fix it. Minus 1.27. Right? So that's going to be on there. So how are we going to label? How are we going to graph this? Or sorry, mark this? I would say if you have all the labels on there, right? Or let's say if you're missing the x, the y, or the equation, you lose, let's do half a mark deduction if you miss any of those today. If you have this point on there, I would give you 1 mark to start. Like if that point is plotted in the correct space, you're good to go. If you have 1 cycle, you get another mark, right? 1 cycle, you get another mark for that. And then the scale, that's very important to me. The scale would be also worth a full mark, meaning you went up consistently in both x and y. So labels, we will do 1 in total, but if you forgot any of them, half off. Scale, and normally I would want you to do 2 cycles. If you did 1 today, we're going to let it go. So another 24 from here would get you to 57, right? This here, 57, 19.24. So it goes 24, 24, 24, right? Like from max to max should always be 24. Okay. I don't know if you did the homework. I don't know if you started. I started to do this for some of you, right? We start at 19.24, and that's 9 point. This is the one you use your calculator for, and then you do 5 of these, right? Do 5 of them. You know that it's 1924, then it's negative 1.27, then it's negative 2178, and then back to the mid and back to the max. I saw some of you do that, which good, way to go. And then just keep adding 6 to this, right? You keep adding 6 to your x values, and then you have the points all gathered, and then you plot them later. If that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do, right? Like it's still okay to do that. So apply some strategy, find something that works for you and use it, right? I'm ultimately going to look at the graph. Are the points where they should be? Do you have everything labeled? Is there a scale? That's what I'm going to look at to get you the 3 marks, all right? You get to keep this one.